Never happened. All right. Enough of that. I was really pleased last night, and that was a great night of sports. Really a great night of sports last night. Still, CBS has us ranked third in the NFC as of today. You still have us 15th or what? Has you ranked third in the NFC. Didn't they have you ranked second last year? This time? Look at good old preseason rankings, LJ. Preseason ranking, LJ. Didn't they have you 2 last year? What happened? Shit the bed. Yeah. What happened? Shit the bed. After free agency, because of that marvelous Haason Reddick move. Holy cow. I'm going to say something here. And Xander, please inform James. We have a little bit of breaking news here about your Eagles that Big Sil's found out about. Mark Farcetta is going to join us at 5:30. Okay. Haven't talked to a couple of my friends down in South Florida. Do you remember how Vic Fangio left the Dolphins? Do you remember how he left the Dolphins? Do you guys remember? You guys remember how that whole sequence played out? Like, he resigned, and then by the end of the day or the next day, he was working for the Eagles. Okay? Do you kind of remember that? Vic never wanted to be in South Florida. Very true. Relative. No, not tampering charges. And Marshall, they were mad at him, right? Hey, LJ, wasn't that like a couple days removed? He resigns and then he gets the Eagle job. Wasn't it something like that? It was within a matter of 48 hours he had the Eagle job, right? No, he wasn't canned. He wasn't canned. LJ, wasn't it like a day, right? It was like 24 hours. He had the job, right? Okay. So, talking to a few folks, Howie Roseman, how can I say this? Some folks are saying that people reached out to Vic Fangio's agent and wanted to know what the parameters would be for him to take the Eagle job as defensive coordinator of the football team. I got to be gentle here because I don't want to expose who told me. Vic's agent went to him and said, what would the parameters be for you to potentially leave? And there was already animosity between the head coach. I wouldn't say animosity, but there was a disconnect between the two in direction and culture and what Vic wanted and what Mike McDaniels wanted. And so he went back and told his agent, and his agent went back and told an intermediary to Howie. Here we go. If Vic Fangio takes the job as defensive coordinator in Philadelphia, he's got to have almost complete control of the personnel of the defense, or he won't take the job. The type of player and the makeup of the type of player that he wants to rebuild that Eagle defense with. And Howie and the owner said, okay. And Nick was good with it. So for him to leave Miami, got to remember something. He was the highest paid coordinator in the NFL defensively this last year. Why would he leave? There wasn't talk of him leaving, just redirecting and getting rid of some players. Vic was unhappy in South Florida. He didn't like living there. He's a New England guy. And he wanted to get out, but he wanted the proper landing place. So this was orchestrated. They were talking the last month of the season in his exit to go back to Philly. This was all being orchestrated behind the scenes, that he was going to leave when the time was right, and when they fired Desai, that he would take over as defensive coordinator. But the big thing is that he has final say on the defense and the personnel, and the fact that they want to play a 34, or he wanted to play a 34. Fast forward to free agency. I'm being told that Haason Reddick had a problem with the way he was used last year. And if you remember right, what was one of the major problems that he said? Remember what he said? Hey, I do whatever the people upstairs tell me to do. I'm not happy about it, but guess what? They want me to do it. I'll do it. Do you understand that this guy, the last 2 games of the year, like the first 8 plays of the last game, they dropped him in coverage 5 times. They dropped him 7 the game before. And what was starting to really come to a head was that he wasn't playing along. What happens to players? What happens to players in Philadelphia that don't play along with management? They get moved. What happens to coaches that don't play along and play with management? They get moved or fired. At the end of the day, Vic Fangio, when he got that job, had a closed-door meeting with Haason Reddick. And Haason Reddick was not happy about being dropped in coverage and was less willing to do it. When Howie talked to the agent of Bryce Huff said, my guy will be willing to do whatever role you put him in. Hence, that's why they signed him. He's more willing to play along with what Vic is looking for in that defense than what Haason Reddick was willing to do. Plus the money. So at the end of the day, Vic Fangio has final say. I would make this comment to you that Vic Fangio probably is the most powerful coach in that Eagle coaching staff right now. Now, I'm assuming that if Fangio has that type of autonomy, I'm assuming Kellen Moore does too. I'm assuming that. Now, I mean, I don't know that because I haven't done. I'm going to see if I can reach out to people that know Kellen. But the problem came down, and that's why they went and got Bryce Huff. They got basically the same guy who's willing to do what they want him to do. Whereas Reddick, who complained about being dropped in coverage even as much as last year, the writing was on the wall that he was no longer going to be here once that move went, because get this, supposedly when Patricia started dropping him, he would go into the meetings with him saying, this is ridiculous. And there was a back and forth between Patricia and Reddick that he thought he was being not used correctly in their defense. And don't you remember what Xavier Howard and what Jalen Ramsey said about Vic Fangio? He says he never really thought that Vic knew how to use the corners and he had two of the best corner tandems in the league, and he didn't know how to use them. He wanted to use them in a different way. Well, those two players weren't willing to play along with Vic. That's why Vic wanted to have total say in Philadelphia. Vic Fangio has total say. And that's why Howie moving him, that's not a how. Would we not agree? Would we not agree that move? Here, LJ, everyone, do you guys agree that Howie Roseman and Haason Reddick move, that's not a Howie Roseman trade? How many trades have you ever seen Howie get his head kicked in like that? And here's why I think it's a bad move for the Eagles. You get no use of the trade for 3 drafts. I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing to trade him. It's that you get nothing out of it for 3 years almost. I mean, Martin, I'm not even there yet. I'm just telling you what's transpired. Okay? Hey, I'm awake. That's not a Howie Roseman move. Right? So a wide receiver wanting the ball is a diva and a linebacker not. Dude, I'm not even. This is not me, LJ. This is what happened. This is not an opinion. This is not an opinion. This is what went down. Okay? LJ, I don't know if it's leverage. Okay? Oh, okay, LJ. LJ, I'm not saying if it's leverage or not, that Reddick had the leverage. LJ, what I'm saying is that Vic had the leverage. Vic had the leverage because for Vic to take the job, get this. Think about this, guys. Everyone. LJ, thank you, man. I'm sorry about that. Listen, for him to take the job, he wanted complete say in the retooling of the defense. Okay? And management said okay for him to get the job. 24 hours, like LJ said, the guy has the job. He sits down with Reddick. Reddick goes, dropping me in coverage is dumb. That's not my skill set. He was balking at how he was going to be used. And Vic went to Howie and said, no way. This won't work. This will not work. And you know what, too, LJ? This might be why this guy's been moved a lot. Arizona and Carolina. Is because he's not willing to do what coaches are asking him to do. It's not so much a cancer. He's a really tough guy to coach. I'm not saying, hey, Chris, I'm not saying that he's not correct either. I'm just saying that he sees himself doing something and he sees his worth being what it is. There's 2 things that he's steadfast in, how much he's worth and how to use them. And 3 places, the Eagles were the best place that knew how to use them to an extent, but they always fell back sometimes in trying to drop them in coverage. This completely now makes sense to me. Okay? This completely now makes sense why they moved him, because that's not a Howie trade. One thing I'll give that guy credit on, he is good in trades. And they moved him because Fangio wanted him out. Sounds like Fangio acts like a Super Bowl coach with no effing rings. Well, again, now the pressure's on him because he's getting the personnel that he wants. There's no doubt that Devin White is a Vic Fangio. That's a request by him. And I would guarantee you that this draft coming up is going to be littered with defensive football players. There's not a chance in hell there's an offensive player taken with that 22nd pick. No way. No way. They had to bend the knee to get Vic in the building. That's what I'm being told from the people in Miami. And I know a shitload of people who cover the team and who are inside the organization. And they said to me that there's no way Vic would have left that job, highest paid defensive coordinator in the league, if he didn't have a landing spot. And the Dolphins believe the reason the Dolphins didn't file tampering charges is because they did want to part ways, because he saw Mike McDaniel's culture, something that wasn't in line with his. You got to remember, Mike McDaniels is a young guy, got a Hello Kitty backpack, and you got this 80-year-old defensive coordinator. You think those worlds are going to mesh? I don't, and it didn't. And Mike said, hey, okay. And that's how this thing, the last month of the season, the Eagles were working behind the scenes to get Fangio up there because they weren't going to be left in the dark like they were this last offseason when Gannon got the Arizona job and all of a sudden Fangio ended up down in Miami. They wanted to get ahead of this. So Vic Fangio was giving final say, and that's how he left the Dolphins. Miguel reminds me, all super chats go to the top, and I thank you. Niner fan, love the show. Love the takes. Sil's always on point on your topics. You got me hooked. Miguel, got a heck of a football team. It's rent's due in San Francisco, though. Miguel, rent's due. It's time. Your Super Bowl window, Miguel, in San Francisco, it's today. It's not tomorrow. It's not next year. It's today. You got to win. Or all those years of having Brock Purdy on that contract is not going to pay off. You've got to win. There's more pressure on you this year. And personally, I think your best chance to win a Super Bowl was 2 years ago when Reddick worked over the NFC title game, and last year. You got to win. Okay? You got to win. Got to win now. Too much talent on that team. Too much talent. Sills, that throws light on the poor return for Reddick. Completely, Bob. It makes sense now. Vic forced the trade. He did. I'm there with that, and I'll put my name on that. That Vic forced the trade. How he gets a poor return on the trade, and when it fails, it throws all the light on Vic, who has all the power. That's how he got here. He wasn't going to come here if the personnel decisions were going to be made by Howie Roseman and the analytic guys. He was not going to take the job. He could have went anywhere else. He wanted complete autonomy. That's why you guys are not going to play a 5-front or a 4-front. All of a sudden, you're playing a 34 with no 34 linebackers. I mean, it just doesn't make sense even when you look at the depth chart. And by the way, how about Fangio having Josh Sweat behind, Nolan Smith? He's a 3-down defensive end is now going to play, what is it, Sam? He's going to play Sam? I still think there's a chance they may trade him on draft day now. Why would you have restructured his contract, making it more enticable for teams to look at him? I think they've made that player more enticable to be traded. I'm talking Josh Sweat. I think there's something in the works with him. I'm not sure how he and Vic like him in that scheme. Okay? I think there's a lot of shit going on right now behind the scenes, that there's things that they're working on to try to get different personnel in. Doesn't it shock you that they have 47 million? Hey, can someone do me a favor? Okay, can someone help me out here? How much money does Howie still have in cap space? Isn't he like the second or third biggest cap space team left in the NFL? This is even after free agency. I mean, so you don't get anything back in return for Reddick. You wanted the player out. You gave Vic Fangio complete autonomy and all personnel decisions. Manster, thank you, sir. in all personnel decisions, and you change get this, they're not playing the defensive scheme that they played the last year. Why? Well, you were in a 5 front and a 4 front last year. Now you're in a 3 front. This isn't the same defense. There's 30 plus million left in the bank for Howie to do deals. There's about, LJ saying there's like 30 plus million. Jesus, really? Wow. What are you doing there? Are you waiting post June 1? Or are you waiting the day of the draft? Vic loves Bradbury. He's his own corner. Correct. This is why he doesn't want Bradbury's not going anywhere. You know why? What's the 2 things that those guys don't want to do at corner? Tackle and play man. When they're complete, what did Patricia do in that Seattle game? Do you remember what they did? They started playing man coverage, and they were getting killed by Drew Lock. They're going to play control and contain defense with those corners. Bradbury may have a Pro Bowl season because he's just going to be asked to play center field again. He's going to play 10 yards off the ball, same with Slay, and everything underneath. Control and contain. Control and contain. And it's going to be the offense's responsibility. And this is why Barkley was signed, I'm assuming, is that they can get back to running the ball and get back to those 10 to 13 play drives to eat up the time of possession like they did in 22. Because they were the king of possession in 22. That's the one thing that they were great at. 11 play drives, 14 play drives. Shit, by the time the team got the ball, there was 4 minutes left in the first quarter. How do you think Jalen Carter will be in this scheme? Boy, I tell you what, you're asking a lot of the kid to set the edge when he's an interior player. You're moving him out a little bit more, Trey. And that's a lot more room to cover. You understand what I'm saying? When you put a guy in a 3 technique or in a 5 technique, and he's off the outside shade of the offensive tackle, you got to pray that those guys at the outside linebackers, the Will and Sam, are pretty good tacklers. Because get this, if he can't set the edge, what happens if you have poor tacklers on the perimeter? They're going to run off the perimeter on you, and they're going to run off the edge on you, not up the middle. And and get this, that means Jordan Davis. You need another nose tackle in there. And I'm not saying you need another nose tackle to back him up. You need a big body in there. Because I don't trust him to play 17 games. So Vic's system, this is starting to make more sense to me now. I didn't think assistant coach or I didn't think a head coach had any say whatsoever. This is the coach that has the most say since Shane Steichen. This coach has more say or as much say as Shane Steichen does on defense. Are you talking the kid from Utah? That kid Noah Ellis? That's Luther Ellis's kid. He's a good football player too. I put him on a couple All-American teams. I think that kid is, I think he went to school at University of Utah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so again, there's no doubt that they pivoted here. They pivoted. An assistant coach has a ton of say. Bleed Green says 5 to 7 wins. Please don't talk about Hurts today. Not today. Taylor. Okay. Smitty will get extended. It's May 2nd. You can't let that guy walk. If I'm him, I don't want to get an extension. I wouldn't sign it. I'm not signing a contract extension. Okay? And if they pick the 5th-year option up, that's on them. But extension, I'm not signing an extension. No, thank you. I have no interest. So if I sign an extension now, if I'm Devontae Smith, I'm probably shortchanging myself $5 million per year over the next 3, that's $15 to $20 million. Not a chance I'm signing that. And no agent would have him do that. Not happening. No, thank you. I have no interest. You could pick the $18 million option up. Sure. Go ahead. That's fine. You're entitled to that because that's what the contract reads. But a contract extension before Justin Jefferson signs a contract or before that CeeDee Lamb signs one, why would I? Why? Because what? You're the Eagles? It has nothing to do with my money. Who you are has nothing to do with anything. I'm not signing that. I have no interest in it. Because Devontae Smith could get number 1 money anywhere in the National Football League. It doesn't have to be in Philly. And everyone knows that. Okay, so the league knows what kind of talent he is. He's got the leverage here with this. You know why he's got the leverage? Because the wide receiver market is going up massively each and every single year when it comes to paying the quarterbacks and the wideouts. It'd be a stupid move for him to do that. Okay? And by the way, I'm not saying it's animosity between Philly and Howie and Devontae, but you got to be smart. This is why this makes complete sense now. Howie didn't get taken to the cleaners. Howie did this because he was ordered to do this by ownership. Because part of the deal to get Vic in the building, this is good faith on what Roseman did. Hey, we didn't really get anything back in return that can help our team this year or next year. Reddick's a good player, but we're not going to have a player in the locker room that's not going to be coachable. And I'm not saying Reddick is a bad player, bad attitude. I'm just saying I don't fault him for doing this. Don't put me in a position of failure. I think every player has – you know what's crazy? I don't think both sides are wrong here. If a coach told me, well, look, if I had to do it all over again, Dan, I want you to play nose. I'm not a nose guard. So you want me to get this. This is what happened to and this is where John McMullen's comments about a diminishing player are way over the top. This is not true. They were putting him in a position of failure. First with his cast on his hand, and then when they were dropping him, go take a look at the last 2 games. The last game, the first 10 plays, they dropped him in coverage 7 times. A guy with 27 sacks, you drop it in coverage? Why? Why? Because he wouldn't play along. They were setting him up. They knew the season was over. This is a Howie move. Like he set Doug up. And when Vic got the job, they had their powwow. And Vic came away not feeling that he would be coachable and doing the things he needed him to do. What was that guy's name? LJ, what's that guy's name that played down in Miami that was with him last year? Van Krinkle? What was his name? That played with Vic, who stood up, put his hand in the dirt, dropped in coverage. They see more Bryce Huff doing that stuff than they see Reddick, because Reddick is not willing. Van Ginkel. That is what they're looking for from Bryce Huff. That's what they want with Bryce Huff. They want that type of player. You notice the kid got the same money that Bryce Huff got. That's why when Fangio was looking, he couldn't get Van Ginkel. So you know what he did? He got Bryce Huff. He's a younger player, and the agent said he'll play any role you need. And that's why the Eagles signed him. And the relationship that Howie has with Joe Douglas, you don't really believe that Howie Roseman was going to make a poor deal with Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas took advantage of the fact that he kind of had to know that Vic had final say here, that this wasn't Howie doesn't get taken advantage of in trades. That's one thing I'll give him. He doesn't get taken advantage of. Not to this extent. Not to this extent. And by the way, in 3 years, if it's a second rounder, 3 years from now, that's a good move. But and I don't mean 3 years. I mean 3 drafts from now. That's a long time away to collect on a debt that you need assets now. It just it none of it made sense. Yesterday, me and Gary Cobb were going like this. This doesn't, and now it makes sense. You know, I had to do some digging, so I called up Armando Salguero, who covers the Dolphins, and he put me in touch with somebody inside the organization that we both know. Here, I'll give you a hint. He's a former baseball guy who worked with the Padres. And I met him years ago. And he took over from Mike D. And we were talking, and it's like, yeah, we feel that Vic was doing this prior to the season ending. And this thing was orchestrated because he resigns. 24 hours later, he gets the job. He gets up there, and right before free agency, he talks with Reddick. Reddick's people come out with a demand. And get this, here's something else to think about. Now you know why the demand from the agent came out after the meeting. We want a new contract. It pushed their hand. The agent pushed this after the meeting. I think Laurie and Howie respect Vic a lot to give him control of the defense. Yeah, well, got to remember, Steve, the year previous, they'd gone all the way to the Super Bowl with his fundamentals. Okay? They had gone all the way to the Super Bowl. This just totally makes more sense now. It just completely makes sense. Howie didn't get taken advantage of. Howie was a soldier here. And to me, I think it's a sign of good faith between him and Vic. Vic, you want him out. Okay. Who do we replace him with? The kid with New York. Hey, can I say something to you? Niner all day. How about the relationship with Robert Saleh and Vic Fangio? Where do you think those guys met? They were at the Niners. They all met in San Francisco. Okay? Hooters? Yeah. Yeah. Vic knows Robert Saleh very well. Everything in Philly is a conspiracy, if you ask Sills. It's not a conspiracy, dude. This is what happened. This is not a conspiracy. Doesn't this make more sense? I mean, don't you remember Haason Reddick last year when he was interviewed at his locker? When he basically came out and said, hey, I do what they tell me to do upstairs. They want me to drop in coverage. I drop in coverage. Don't you? Those were his exact words. And what did he say? I wasn't happy with it. I didn't say that. Doesn't this make more sense? Sure, whatever, guy. No. Okay. Well, then in your world, fitness, how he got his ass beat in a trade. It doesn't work for 3 years. Congratulations to him. If Reddick was too diva to do what the coaches asked him, then good riddance. LJ, but again, do you think it was in the best interest of dropping Haason Reddick? Do you think it was in the best interest to drop Haason Reddick in a defensive scheme that they had last year and not have him rush the passer? And you think that him saying that that's a bad idea, you think that's in the best interest of the team or the worst interest of the team? Wouldn't you want to put him in a position to succeed? Instead, you're dropping him in a position of failure. Why would you want that? When the player knows he's not good at doing that, you think that's the smart thing to do? Is to just go ahead with it, put bad film on tape, so people can look at you like John McMullen and say you have diminishing skills because you're put in a position of failure, because you got bad tape on the film. You really think that's in the best interest? You're a professional ball player? So again, I'm asking you, you think putting Haason Reddick, LJ thinks putting Reddick in coverage because the coaches told him to, you have already said that they were an coaching staff. You think that's in the best interest? I wish Hurts had more Haason Reddick in him, and maybe he'd have a better season. Can Vic teach Huff to learn how to stop the run? I agree with you. So get this. LJ thinks it's bad that Haason Reddick didn't like to be dropped in coverage because he should do it anyway, even though it's a worse idea and hurts your defense. He still wants you to do that. That doesn't make sense. Why would you want a player to do something he's not capable of doing? And yet the inept coaching staff that you call, all of you in here, said that they had one of the worst coaching staff in Eagle history. You want the player to go along with it and die on the vine. Really? So you want him to go down with the coach? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. No. No wonder Hurts isn't a leader. There, I broke my vow. No wonder he's not a leader. He goes along to get along. I want leaders on my team. I'll tell you something. You know what Andy Reid said in that Super Bowl about Mahomes? Oh, yeah, he has all the autonomy to change a play anytime he wants. He doesn't like something, he'll change it up right in the middle of the sequence and of the plays, and he'll just change it. So if he doesn't like something he sees, he changes it. But you want him to go down with the ship and throw to a shitty. All Super Chats go to the top. Thank you, guys. This is cool. It's crazy because Vic had the best season of his career year with Vic as a consultant. Reddick, right. Sills, Fangio has already made excuses. Scheme change, financial investment on D. He also works on the side of the ball that Howie doesn't value. I believe Vic might get more rope than anyone else. Do you see the Jets draft trade? Trading down? Boy, I see them taking that kid Bowers where they're sitting right now to try to get another shiny toy for Aaron Rodgers. Okay. The Eagles are the class of the NFC. Right. I'm a liar. 1-7 was a lie. Remember something, folks. A-Track wants you to erase that like it never happened. And the linebacking core of Nolan Smith, Devin White, Nakobe Dean, and Bryce Huff are the worst run-defending linebacking core in a 34 in the National Football League. You have the worst 4 starting linebackers versus the run in the league. That's not an opinion. Their production over the last 4 years dictates that. They have the worst. Your safety position kind of was upgraded. And the last 8 games of the year, your defensive front gave up 136 yards of rushing. You gave up The most first downs on passing downs, first and third, than any team in the league. I don't know what to say. How you're the class of the NFC with one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. That's not an opinion. Your production proved it. Okay? And by the way, again, you have an opinion. Your defense last year showed you that opinion's not valid. A-Track doesn't have a valid opinion when the team shit the bed the last 8 weeks. That's fact. He's giving you an opinion. Just like 10-1 doesn't matter. 1-6 doesn't matter. Stop saying 1-7. It's 1-6. Counting the playoffs? Oh. 10-1 didn't matter. You got worse as the year went on. You were never that team. You got out to a nice start, and then reality caught up. Bad coaching, bad play. Not an opinion. That's how it imploded. Did you see something different? Yeah, no. Crowley, A-Track talking about making the playoffs. They played one extra week than the Giants. Congratulations, I guess. Okay, I guess. You think Tracy, see this guy, Steve? Okay, he thinks Tracy Rocker's the reason. Tracy Rocker is now coaching the NFL. Got one in a week. He got a job in a week. And then you hired my friend. So don't worry, kid. I've already talked to your guy. And yet, by the way, Clint, you're welcome for wearing my jersey at UM. I see Douglas doing something with Howie in the draft. Moving up? I would think more Andrew Berry that he does something with. Okay? I think something more with Berry. Douglas going to fleece us again. That's what Xander says. Eagles made the playoffs and got rocked. Taylor, don't tell the folks that. They'll tell you it didn't happen. A-Track will tell you that didn't happen. We're 10-1. Okay? They're 10-1 or some shit. Whatever. He'll try to make you believe that they're the class of the NFL when they got their shit kicked in by everyone. And I don't know. So it now makes sense. Marley goes like this. I hope our offense doesn't play arrogant ball. That's a great comment. That's a great comment because that goes down the line, Marley, of what Keith Byers said. Arrogant football is throwing the ball just to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That's not championship football. And just like Keith said, from Thanksgiving on, you didn't play championship football. You were playing selfish football. And that's your number. Get this. Explain this one to me. Explain this one to me. What's this guy say again? Eagles made the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Only one team wins. So explain this to me then, A-Track. How can everybody in your offense have a career year and you go 1-6? And your offense can't score 10 points in a playoff game. And everyone in the offensive huddle, skill-wise, had a career year, and you went 1-6. How does that happen? Because it's selfish ball. You didn't play championship ball. That's the class of the NFL. You can't play any better. Do you understand that? Your offense can't play any better. One guy had 1,500 yards. The other guy had 1,100 yards receiving. You had a back that was a 1,000-yard rusher and was a Pro Bowler. You had a quarterback that eventually was named to the Pro Bowl. You had 3 guys in the O-line that were named Pro Bowl. And yet, you went 1-6. Explain that to me. When is the last time we had a losing season? DRC last year. Last year was a losing season. Or are you going to call it something else? Tell me, what would you call it? That's not true, Sills. Last year was a losing season. Was it not? A good season? Really? Our first and second rounder to the Jets for Brock, yes or no? Damn. Stop floating that guy out there, man. I love that pick. I really do. I think he's my last year Devin Witherspoon was my favorite. Okay? The year before that was the corner from that's in Kansas City now. By the way, both are Pro Bowlers. Let's see. In rookie years. Sorry. Should listen more to Sills. I think Brock Powers is the best player in the draft. And he's at a position that's going to be the most impactful. Hamilton, yeah, remember we were all like, yeah, I think I didn't like him because he was at Notre Dame. Slagger. Because a lot of Notre Dame guys on defense don't really pan out. Justin Tucks and guys like that. But there's very few guys from Notre Dame that actually pan out, and he did. I think, hey, Slagger, he's actually he's a Notre Dame guy, right? We don't need Brock. Yeah, okay. You're right. Because then Jalen has even less excuses. Jesus Christ, you got 7 Pro Bowlers in your offense. And you went 1-6. My God. What else does a guy need? Seriously, who do you want next? Get Brady out of retirement too? I mean, what do you want to do? Get Randy Moss out of retirement? My God, what else does he need? A golf cart to go back and forth from NovaCare to what does he need? A limo driver? Big Dom to pick him up? Jesus Christ, how much are you going to cater to this guy? Go earn something. Hurts hasn't earned a damn thing in his life. He's been given it in Philadelphia. It's like bending over for the guy. Go earn something. He sure didn't earn my respect, 1-6. That's for damn sure. Pouting on the sidelines, moaning and crying. Come on, man. Unbecoming. Let's see here. Get this. Sills, explain Josh Allen and Lamar losing all the time. They don't lose all the time. They lose to Mahomes and Burrow. You lose to Tommy DeVito and Baker Mayfield. I don't know. And Brock Purdy. That's who you lose to. It's not an excuse. You just asked me. It's like saying, get this. It's funny. It's like saying this. Who'd you get beat by? I got beat by Tiger Woods at the Masters. No. Oh, who'd you get beat by? Well, I got beat by Michael Jordan in the finals. All right. Who'd you get beat by? Baker Mayfield. Okay. A little different. Okay? A little different. Who'd you get beat by? I got beat by Tiger at the Masters on the 17th tee box. I put one in the trees, and this guy hit it 3 feet. What happened in the NBA Finals? Jordan hit the bucket at the end in Game 6. Oh, shit happens. I mean, it's Jordan. Who'd you lose to? Baker Mayfield and Tommy DeVito. Oh. Okay, that might be a little different. Okay? Dude, that was last season. We don't care. I'm talking about right now, kid. I'm talking about Vic Fangio is your head coach. Okay? Sil's honest question. What does someone need to do to earn your respects? Earn your respect. Hurts played at a good level and frustrate is normal. AJ Brown, not Owens, also played well. That's not good enough for you? Yeah, because you're in a team sport, guy. You're not in tennis or playing golf or a bowler. And to me, what makes someone great is someone that's there every single year. No ups, no downs. Players can count on when the things are going great. And to me, those are the great ones. Those are ones that you can count on. You guys may not like Kirk Cousins. 4,700 yards, 34 touchdowns, 10 picks. If Jalen Hurts does that in his career, he'll be lucky. But that's every year with that guy. And do I think Kirk Cousins is a superstar quarterback? No. He's like the floor. That guy Hurts will never touch any of the numbers that Cousins puts up. By the way, Washington is never. By the way, once again, one playoff win for Kirk Cousins. I never said he played in good organizations like Minnesota and Washington. You know what? Every time you use that one playoff thing, I'm going to throw this at you. Well, Brock Purdy's 5-2 in the playoffs. He's better than Hurts. Garoppolo has a better win percentage in the playoffs than Jalen. Is he better? You really want to go there? Joe Flacco has a better postseason percentage in wins than Jalen Hurts. You want to go there? And are you under some sort of thing that you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dan Marino because Marino's 7-9 in the postseason? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. And get this, that's the only thing you have for Jalen is that his teams have been good. Not so much him. 2 of the 3 years, he's been okay. Do your job. I don't see any consistency in his career so far. None. How many people would think Jalen Hurts has a consistent career? I don't. First year is different. Second year is different. Third year is different. Those are 3 different guys. He's not done one thing consistently from year to year. He hasn't put 2 of the same years together. Okay? He hasn't. That to me is what's up. And by the way, I see people saying again the hate thing. I don't give a shit about him from a can of paint. Personally, I could care less. Have no interest in him as a person. I have no interest in him as a man. I'm talking as a football player. That's the difference between me and you. I don't fall in love with these guys. I could care less. Are you good? Are you not? Are you average? Do you help my team? Do you not help my team? And when you guys can start acting like Howie Roseman and how he sees his players, you'll be better off too. Too many of you fall in love with you. I don't give a shit about it. Brandon Graham, hey, thank you very much for your service. Did you get paid? Yes. See you later. By the way, why didn't you take that extra $5 million you gave Brandon Graham and give it to Reddick? But you brought that old fogey back. Why'd you bring him back? Why didn't you give that extra $5 million to Reddick? What? It's because Vic didn't want him. I get it now. Okay? I get it now. Because Vic didn't want him. Okay? Yeah, how he brought him back because probably Xander said the right thing. You know, Sills, do you think you can find anybody that can help with depth? Yeah, but if I start to see that guy playing a lot more reps, there's problems. Okay? Reddick was out regardless. Agreed, Joe. Joe, he was. He was out. Okay? Sills, that's over the line. I don't want to act like Howie. Well, I'm sorry, but that's how the NFL ownership look at players. They don't give a shit about you. They never will, and they never want to. They look at you as cattle, and that's how it always will be. You're the only ones that fall in love with these guys. You're the ones that buy jerseys. You're the ones that have passion for the players. Ownership doesn't. They'll move off of you as fast as a Carson Wentz second. They'll move off of you as fast as a Devin White second, even after you give them money. And like you said, Denny brings a great point up. And when you bring new coordinators in, they have no problem moving off of people. Most of the time, they clean house like that. And again, once again, your head coach did the right thing. He took a knee so that he could keep his job. Doug wouldn't take a knee. That's how this whole thing has really transpired. If Reddick won Super Bowl against Kansas City, it'd still be here, Sills. Yeah. I don't know, man. Arthur, I think you could have won the Super Bowl, and if you still would have had a shitty 23 defensive effort with that 1-6, I still think there'd been changes. I still think there would have been changes. Okay? I still think there would have been changes. Hurt's gotten better every year till last year. His overthinking and coaching digressed him. He'll bounce back in 24. I sure hope so. You'll need him. You'll need him to. And by the way, if Jalen Hurts doesn't bounce back, they'll start the process of moving him out too. Like they did Carson Wentz. Just like that. They will. You know why? Because they've done it before. You see, they got a track record of moving off of Super Bowl coaches and MVPs. They moved off an MVP runner-up in Wentz. They moved off a Super Bowl coach. They got a track record of doing this. And questioning LJ's favorite coach, Nick Sirianni, last year, who went in for an interview to save his job. This is not an opinion. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. Hurts only been in the league 3 years. Hurts has been in the league 4 years. He's been a starter for 3. Pressure on him. He has weapons everywhere. He had weapons everywhere last year. You'll better not make a single excuse this year. If he's asking it. Oh, they will. It'll be something to do with the coaching. Kellen Moore, what? No, here will be the excuses. Kellen Moore sucked. He wasn't the right guy. They needed an RPO coordinator. A.J. Brown is a diva. Barkley wasn't who they thought he was. It'll be all that shit. It's not Jalen. Jalen's had more excuses than any quarterback who had a shitty year last year than anybody I've ever seen. Coach sucked. Scheme sucked. The play design sucked. Everything sucked but him. And the guy made $50 million, which is crazy. You hold people accountable that make the most money. Those are the first people out the door. Or let me guess. You want to fire the doorman. And that's what the Eagles did. The Eagles fired the doorman because they didn't want to fire the main event. Hurts. Not yet. That's coming. That's coming. That's next. Hurts is next. Fire the coaches. Nick will be fired. Then it's Hurts. Same thing that happened to Wentz. Head coach went. Wentz went. There we go. Again, they've got a track record of behavior. Dan, now that you know Vic is controlling the D, what do you think they take at 22? Oh, edge rusher. Absolutely. There's no doubt they're taking edge there, in my opinion. Absolutely. Okay? No doubt about it. They will do that. You know what's funny, Steve? Jalen Hurts MVP says, "Isn't it funny Carson Wentz finished second in the most valuable player award? Wonder how much that award is valid when Wentz was second." By the way, congratulations to Carson Wentz going to Kansas City. Best move that guy could make. If Andy Reid can't fix him, no one can. And then you play with Mahomes and you get to see how a pro acts. I think this is the best move that you could have had for Carson Wentz. I didn't know he was 32 already. Carson Wentz has had 9 years in the league already. He's helped the team win home field advantage, an NFC championship, and finish second and runner-up in the MVP in his 9 years. Owns a single-season passing record in Philly for touchdowns and yardage. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. I mean, 9 years. I sure hope Jalen Hurts has that career. Well, Wentz isn't good now. Oh, I know. I know. I know. Can you believe this? Wentz might have 2 rings. Might have 2 championship rings and a Burt Bell MVP award. Oh, like Jalen, right? Right? I wonder how many people in Philly are happy that he's gone to Andy. Are you happy that Carson Wentz is in Philly or in Kansas City with Andy? Are you? Senor goes 2 rings and not even playing both. Yeah. Right. Right. Absolutely. That's part of the truth, too. It sure is. Would you rather have a ring? Hey, get this. Would you rather have Jalen Hurts' 2022 season or Carson Wentz's 17 season? I'll take Carson Wentz's 17 season over Jalen Hurts' 22 year. Why? Helped you get home field and win an NFC championship. And I finished second in the MVP. And I got a Super Bowl ring. Your guy lost the game. But he started. Oh, I know. You don't play Mahomes. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Mahomes has the ring. I know. I know. Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay. I know. Sadly, I think Wentz will win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs before the Eagles win one. Oh, no. That I don't want to hear. I'd rather have a new GM and an owner. Oh. Yeah, of course. Look at Dick Track. He says the city of Philly burned his jersey. Carson Wentz sucks. Well, at least he's got a Super Bowl ring. It was on the team that won the Super Bowl. That you'll never take away from him. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Dick Track, that will never, ever be taken from Carson Wentz. You can burn his jersey all you want. But always remember, Dick Track, that guy's got a ring. Hey, always remember, Sills would want to be Sills. Oh, come on, man. That ain't right, man. Come on, Dick Track. It's all good, man. Don't get your panties in a bind. It's all good, Dick Track. It's okay, Bubba. No, don't get. Hey. Yeah, so you mean the Super Bowl that BB gave the Eagles by sabotaging the Pats? Malcolm Butler. Holy cow. Oh, I'm not. Hey, Ty Bank goes, I'm obsessed with Jalen Hurts. No, I'm obsessed with good quarterbacks, not bad ones. You got to understand, I'm obsessed with guys that are good. Okay? Like, I'm more obsessed with Dick Track than I am Jalen Hurts. Are you crazy? Dick Track probably brings some of the best takes there is. Wouldn't have it any other way, Dick Track. I got another topic. I think I'm going to have to towel off and take a break here. Every time Sills brings up Hurts, whatever, guy. Sills, that's why if you invest in building a staff that can help players play above their skill level, you can develop sustained success, and you can avoid roller coasters of building the new scheme and probably the roster too, Bob. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. Hey, Dick Track, don't get too upset. It's okay, man. You know, it's all right. You know, I have these names for people, man. Nick Foles, man. Would you guys sign him as your number 3? I don't want this guy, Francis Scott Key. I don't want Francis Scott McKee as my backup quarterback. This guy looks like he is a Ichabod Crane kind of lurch-looking dude. I don't need him, man. He's got no feet, and he's got cement shoes for cleats. I don't need Ichabod Crane. How about bringing in a guy like Nick Foles? Or would that be too much for – oh, wait, we can't do that because that's one of the reasons they didn't bring in Justin Fields, because they didn't want to have Jalen have to start wearing Depends and start shitting himself. Yeah, no, can't do that because the fans be in the stands screaming Nick Foles' name. We can't have that. But he'd be great for Jalen to go over to and talk to a veteran guy. And so that you could have an experienced guy on the sides there. But we can't do that because we don't want him to get all nervous and such. We can't have that, man. Right? Kenny Pickett, baby. Xander likes dudes with small hands because things look bigger with him. That's twice, man. I don't think there'll be a third time. Holy cow. Yeah, Tanner McKee be playing for a team the Rock owns near you soon. Tanner McKee, please. Yeah, we started the show off with the Cowboy guy. What was his name? John Holmes? Mickey Holmes? Mike Holmes? Mark Holmes? I got to take a time out. I got another topic to hit on here. And this is going to be a simple one. I actually stole this topic. I actually stole this thing. Okay? I did. I actually stole this. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Mark Farcetta is going to join us at 5:30. Okay? All super chats go to the top. Don't forget, keep it here, National Football Show.